Your sales manager just ran a pipeline review. Every rep had an answer for every deal. The close dates, the amounts, the next steps, they're all accounted for. And somehow, 3 months from now, over half those deals are going to slip. I mean, this happens so consistently in industrial companies that most owners, investors, and ELTs have just accepted it as a fact of doing business. The forecast misses. The explanation is always something about the market, the timing, the customer. And often the board just moves on with an admonition that, hey, come on, this has to improve. We really need organic growth, they say. I'm Ed Marsh. I work with middle market industrial sponsors and portfolio companies on organic revenue growth. And I've been party to enough of these reviews to know that the real problem isn't just the rep's ability to manage large matrix buying teams and sell consultatively. It's the manager's ability to probe. And so, in effect, the managers are modeling the same ineffectiveness that the reps are as they sell. So here's what actually happens in most pipeline reviews. A rep says a deal is at 70%, and the manager accepts that. The manager may ask for some quantitative details like the close date. They ask about the dollar amount, and hopefully those details have already been entered in the CRM. What managers normally don't ask is things like who else inside that company wants this project to fail? What other internal initiative is competing for the same capital? Is there a vendor the procurement team has already quietly decided to go with? Those are examples of the qualitative questions that tell you whether a deal is real. And in most industrial companies, they're never asked. Now, I bring this up for two reasons. First, forecasts generally suck. And this is really a key to improving them. But more importantly, rapidly evolving capabilities in CRM systems mean that we can create opportunity qualification agents that provide more accurate understanding of where deals stand, and coaching recommendations for sales managers. I recently built a Claude skill that in turn creates a markdown instruction to feed to an AI-first CRM agent. The coaching component reads the pipeline review transcripts and flags every instance where a manager accepted a quantitative answer without following with a qualitative probe. Automatically, it surfaces the moments where the conversation should have gone deeper and it didn't. It highlights them to improve coaching and can add them to the agenda for the next meeting. Now, this isn't for bad managers, but rather it's designed for experienced people running a standard process, having a hard time keeping up with everything. This is a process everyone runs. The problem is that standard isn't good enough when 40 to 60% of complex B2B deals end in no decision, rather than a closed won or lost outcome. Your team isn't losing deals in many cases to competitors, they're losing them to indecision, and qualification needs to catch that. This doesn't require novel or fancy questions. Any good sales methodology and manager with business acumen can come up with them. The problem is that managers, under time pressure, default to the scorecard, the close date, the amount, the stage, and they skip the interrogation. Now, you may not like that word interrogation, but business isn't supposed to be easy, and the CRM needs to show a realistic pipeline, not a healthy pipeline when deals are actually rotting. This is a governance problem as much as a sales problem. Private equity sponsors track pipeline coverage ratios, conversion rates, and average deal size, but none of those metrics tell you whether the manager running the review is actually pressure testing the deals or just collecting data. And in fact, if denominators aren't consistent, ratios don't matter. In other words, if you don't have a clear definition of a qualified opportunity, the close ratio is irrelevant. So the board sees a spreadsheet, but nobody sees the conversation. The fix is not more pipeline reviews, it's better pipeline reviews. And AI can now tell you with specific timestamps exactly where your manager stopped asking the right questions. Not saying you should be involved at that level, but now you know what to ask the operator when forecasts are consistently inaccurate. It's likely that instead of a forecast problem, you have a sales management problem. The numbers in your board pack will keep looking reasonable right up until the quarter misses. And then you'll hear about the market, the timing, the customer, competitors, that whole drill again. If you want to bring the same rigor to your revenue process that you bring to your operations reviews, start by asking what's actually happening in those pipeline conversations, not what gets entered into the CRM afterward. I write about exactly this kind of gap at edmarshconsulting.com. The space between what PE sponsors assume is happening in their Port Coast commercial function and what's actually happening. If this landed, please subscribe to this channel and by all means drop a comment below with what your pipeline reviews actually look like.